Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacey here on the Money Matters Radio Network. Joining us in studio for this segment today is Chris Perchard of Real Living Realty Group, Chris Perchard Homes team. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, Bob. How are you?
Good. So we had you come in because we want you to be the first show of the new year here on Get Real with Bob and Stacey. Why don't we start by talking a little bit about what happened in 2015, real estate wise?
Real estate wise, 2015. Sure. I mean, it was a great year for sales and things. The one thing we were having trouble with all of 2015 was inventory.
Right.
A lot of buyers getting out there in the market and just not enough homes to sell to them.
Right.
The year started off really low with inventory, especially in a lot of the markets I work in Norfolk County.
Especially after we got 9 feet of snow in February.
Exactly. The snow definitely killed it.
Yeah.
And but I keep telling people to push forward and put the homes on and just keep plugging away, and
Right.
there'll be a buyer out there for them.
Now, you were talking earlier about the importance of listing when you're ready to sell, not necessarily waiting for the spring market to come around. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why it makes sense to sell now instead of waiting for April or May?
Sure. Number one reason is because everyone seems to try to wait till April or May.
Right.
And more competition for you. And that's definitely not a good thing if you're looking to be the top dog with your house, with
Right.
the buyers that are out there. The other issue is that the buyers that are trudging through your house in 8 feet of snow,
Yeah.
they're not there just taking a peek. They're there because they're serious buyers.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want to capture is the serious buyers. Summertime, and when the snow melts, people are so pent up, they just go to open house for fun. I
Yeah.
see a lot of times, and nosy neighbors and things like that, which having a neighbor come through isn't always a terrible thing. I have a lot of people that say, well, I don't want so-and-so through or so-and-so through, but hey, let everyone through the open house.
Yeah.
But the buyers that are out there during the wintertime in 8 feet of snow or 5 feet of snow or whatever it is, they're serious. They're
Right.
seriously buying.
Right.
And that's the buyers that you want coming through your house.
Right.
So
And what do you think is going to happen in 2016? We're getting all sorts of reports. Most of them seem pretty positive as far as the outlook for 2016 real estate market. What do you think is going to happen?
sure. I think at this point from a year ago, I'm seeing a lot of the same things with the inventory
Right.
being low. In a lot of the markets that I follow, we're down 20 to 30% in inventory from the springtime.
Is that normal for this time of year?
It is normal for this time of year. I think that that's going to continue through the first quarter of 2016. And just taking a look at over the past 30 days, the accepted offers to the new listings. In one of the markets I work in Franklin, there's double the amount of offers and half the amount of new listings. So that just goes to show you that
The buyers are out there.
The buyers are out there, and inventory is going to keep declining, obviously, if that trend continues, which I do see that happening, especially with some of the weather we got today with the snow.
Yeah. Now, that's one of the things that I see differently. Although last year there were still a lot of buyers out, but now they're coming out in droves. I mean, we got pre-approvals coming in even during this week, which is traditionally pretty slow. I mean, there's a lot of kids at home, and usually people aren't looking to get pre-qualified during Christmas and New Year's, but
Sure.
I think there's a lot of people last year that didn't get a chance to buy for whatever reason, and it looks like they're anxious to get out there this year or
Sure.
this coming year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that maybe had to do with some of the inventory. I had a handful of clients in 2015 that said, you know what, we're renting right now, and that's okay with us. We're going to hang out. We looked for 3-4 months, not seeing anything. We're busy with work and kids and all that. So they said, we're going to put our search on hold, and if something happens to come up, we'll jump on it. But for the meantime, we're going to just kind of sit back, watch the market, study the market, learn about it, and when 2016 hits and inventory starts to pick up, they'll get back in the game. So there were a lot of buyers, like I said, just myself, I had a handful of buyers that put their search on hold in 2015.
Wow. Now, there's a lot of people saying that 2016 could actually be better than 2005 purchase-wise, and 2005 is currently the record holder, right?
It is, yeah, and we'd love that to happen,
Yeah.
obviously, but I think that it could happen as well. I think that it's almost a perfect storm now with the way that the rates are staying where they're at, and I think that inventory is going to pick up in the second quarter of 2016, and there's going to be buyers, I think, waiting to knock down the doors to get in there.
What about people that didn't sell this year because they're move-up buyers, and we need those move-up buyers to move so that the first-time buyers can get in, but a lot of them don't have a place to move up to because those people aren't selling. Do you see that sort of gridlock loosening up at all this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think that that those people will take a look at the market and get educated a little bit and say, hey, we're gonna start to list our houses because prices have gone up, and I think it's gonna be a situation where, hey, we bought and we've got some equity in the house now, and we're going to be able to get the house that we want when we move up and give the opportunity to those lower end buyers that are stepping up to get into those houses.
Right. And
Chris, do you think that people that want to buy in the spring market, so let's say somebody has a house to sell now, they know that come spring there's going to be plenty of inventory, that it's a good idea to actually sell now and then rent for a while so that they don't have a home sale contingency?
Sure, absolutely. And I have a perfect example of that, actually, Stacey. The beginning of 2015, I had a client, and they wanted to wait, hey, let's wait till the snow melts, let's wait till the spring. And I said, let's not do that. There's not a lot of inventory. They're in a neighborhood that was built in 2003, 4, and I just had a feeling that neighborhood was going to start to turn over a little bit in the spring, and there were going to be more listings in that neighborhood. So they listened to me. We listed right after the February vacation, and we had an offer within 30 days. Wow. After we got that offer, home inspection, purchase, and sale, there were 4 new listings in the neighborhood once the snow melted.
Wow.
And the same exact house across the street sold for $20,000 less.
Wow.
Just because there was more inventory and more competition. So I think that's a prime example, and I use that story with a lot of my clients now that are looking to, hey, maybe wait till the snow melts, get an extra mop and clean up that snow that gets dredged in, and it may pay off in the end because, like I said before, the buyers that are out there now are serious, and if you can do a short-term rental, not have to worry about the other competition out there, just get it sold. It makes you a stronger buyer on the back end of it when you're going forward once there's inventory for you to buy.
Right, because once there's bidding wars and you have that home sale contingency, it makes it hard to get your offer accepted.
It makes it really hard. Almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's very difficult to make your case when there's buyers out there that don't have that contingency and they're paying same money. It's very difficult as an agent to try to overcome that.
Right.
Now, with the areas you cover, what is it, Walpole, Franklin, Medfield, and sort of the surrounding towns?
Yes.
Are you starting to see that because of the ridiculous prices inside 128 that those people are saying, you know what, I'll move outside 120, I'll move into those areas because you get so much more for the money, or has that not happened yet?
I'm seeing that a little bit. A lot of the clients that I've had over the past year anyways have had some ties to the towns that they've been in, so they're looking to stay real local in terms of being close to family and being close to public transportation or 495 in order to get to Boston. Yeah. But the people that are may have a more local job, I am seeing some of them start to go out from Franklin to Uxbridge or Northbridge, out that way. Walpole area, Medfield area, they may be spreading out to Millis, Medway, Franklin, Rentham, and Plainville.
So going a little bit west to get more houses.
Going a little bit outside of there, Yep.
And what about people that actually live inside the city now? Are you seeing those people moving out, like inside Boston and the surrounding towns?
Sure, we've got a lot of people actually that are renting that are looking to buy, and they are coming out to the Walpole area, the Norwood area, Franklin area, because they can get the train, they can get on to 495 easily from those locations and get back into Boston. But to get something that they would want to have in terms of space and bedrooms and bathrooms, they've got to come outside the city a little bit to be able to get what they can afford.
It's funny, those of us in the industry, real estate and finance and real estate in general, we've been hearing for years about how the millennials don't want to own homes. They just want to rent, and they just want to be downtown, and they want nothing to do with the suburbs. And all of a sudden, all of the articles you see is, oh, wow, the millennials, they do want to own houses. Well, yeah, you get married and you have kids. You don't want to live in a 300-square-foot studio inside the city anymore.
Exactly. And, I think also, not that there's you can live in the city and go to private schools and things like that. But I think school systems is what I'm finding a lot of those millennials are interested in.
Yes.
And they're looking and saying, hey, how does this school compare with this school? And I think that's important to them because, they've got a 1-year-old or a 3-year-old, and that's important to them going forward. And I think that that's really driving them out to some of those towns that have the higher school ratings to get into a town and to sort of, like you said, make a life for themselves. And they've got the kids. They can't live in a 300 square foot house, an apartment. They've got to have the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4 bedrooms. They can't live in a studio or a 1-bedroom anymore.
No, especially when you consider what they're paying for rent for that 1-bedroom. I mean,
Exactly.
In a lot of cases, they're paying $2,500 a month. I mean, you can get a really nice house.
Exactly.
40 minutes outside the city.
Yep, exactly. And if you've got access to the public transportation or 95, 495, you can get to Boston fairly easily. So
yeah, it really isn't a bad commute. Unless you go during peak hours.
That's true. That's true.
But there's always the trains. I mean, they've really made some improvements to, some of the rail lines. I mean, I know the Route 9 line is terrible, but
Sure.
I think the one that goes out of Quincy is much better now, and
Yep.
and the northern routes are getting better. So you don't have to. I mean, can you imagine sitting in a car for an hour and 45 minutes each way every day?
It would be tough,
Yeah.
but I think at the end of the day, when you come home to a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom with your family there, and you've got plenty of space, I think the payoff is worth it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Or get another job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I think you're seeing a lot more industry start to come out to the 495 belt because, while prices for homes are less out here, same is true for office space and manufacturing. I mean, it's all starting. I shouldn't say all of it, but you're starting to see some of it move west because the rents that they're getting inside the city are getting insane.
Sure.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens as the economy continues to expand west. I think it'll benefit a lot of us that are outside the city. Why don't you tell us a little bit about working with your team, Chris?
Sure. We've been in the business for 11 years, and we started out actually on a team myself with a top team out of another company, and we learned a lot of things from them that we are still using today in terms of systems, maintaining contact. I'm a big contact guy. There's not always an answer if somebody's looking for a contract or if they have a question on a home, but just to be in constant contact with them, it's important.
Right.
We can find the answers. It's just a matter of letting the clients know that, hey, look, I'm here. You're emailing or texting me at 10 o'clock at night. I'm answering.
Yeah.
It's something that's important. I look at it as how would I like to be serviced if I was on the other end of it.
Right.
And I try to do that for all of our clients. In terms of what we offer, I think that's a little bit different from some of the other teams or agents out there. We'll go through, bring a stager in, and not necessarily that you have to purchase anything from the stager, but just to have the stager come in, and that's complimentary from my team, just to say, hey, maybe you could open up the room a little bit if we rearrange the couches here or there. Sometimes, a small $100 paint fix can change a room and really transform it into a wow as opposed to an ow. It's I think that's important. The other thing that we do is anybody that's been in the home for a long time, we're getting a lot of transitioning neighborhoods, a lot of older folks getting out of a house they've been in for 30 years. Well, what's happened over those 30 years to the house in terms of structural and anything like that, the systems?
Yeah.
So we'll go into a house and we'll hire a home inspector to come in and do a pre-listing home inspection.
Wow.
And what that does for us is, number one, it makes the negotiating after the offer and after the buyer's home inspection, it makes that a little bit easier for us. We know what we're dealing with.
Right.
And if there's something that comes up that's major, we're able to deal with that before we put it on the market.
Right.
So we can have a professional come in and take care of a structural issue or an issue that maybe the seller had no idea was there. And prime example, I had a client that took use of that service. We had the pre-listing home inspection. They found a couple of issues, took care of it, and no home inspection issues from the buyer on the other end of it. And I just think that that helps in negotiation. It helps the seller with a little bit of peace of mind that, hey, look, I've already been through this one time. I'm not going to have any surprises. I already know what I'm up against.
Right.
And I just think that helps to make the transaction a lot smoother and a lot less stressful. Because I know I've got people that will call me, a seller, and say, what happened with the home inspection, Chris? What happened with the home inspection? I'm so nervous. I don't know what's going on. So, having that pre-listing home inspection really can alleviate some of that. And I think that's a huge asset that we offer to our clients.
Well, I would agree. And imagine you take a lot of the buyer's negotiating power away when you've dealt with all the big issues. There's not a lot left to complain about. Although I guess it depends on the buyer. I mean, some buyers.
It does. I've seen it go in great direction in terms of every pre-listing inspection that we've done has alleviated a lot of those issues. And there could be a small issue that's not major. But if you're a first-time home buyer and a home inspector points something out to you that you don't really know about, it can freak you out.
Oh, yeah.
And a $500 fix to a homeowner could mean that they don't have a first-time home buyer coming in and freaking out and trying to get $5,000 or walking away from the transaction when we could have sort of fixed that issue before it even was an issue.
Because sometimes those little issues, especially to a first-time home buyer, can get overwhelming. They start to second-guess the whole idea of buying in the first place.
Exactly. So with that, my philosophy behind that is to try to just pull that out of the equation, you know. So
that's a great way to approach it, Chris. I want to thank you for being on the show. And anybody that's listening right now, if you'd like to contact Chris or his team, you can reach them at 508-641-2907, or you can check them out online at cphomesne.com or Chris Perchard Homes on Facebook as well. So that's going to do it for this segment. Stay tuned. We've got more coming up after this.